Actor Vijay's Tamalaga victory Kajagam winning the 2026 election by hacking EVMs? Could that actually happen? What if the very future of our democracy depends on machines that are fundamentally vulnerable to cyber attacks? Welcome to FutureShock. Today we're asking a massive ethical question. As we hand over our most sacred civic duty to microchips and code, are we inadvertently leaving the back door wide open for an unprecedented digital hijacking?
In this explainer, we're diving deep into the high-stakes puzzle of how the digital age has completely transformed the ballot box. We're going to unpack the data, the expert testimonies, and the fierce global debates surrounding electronic voting machines. It's this fascinating and honestly sometimes terrifying intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and the future of our society.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our structural roadmap. We'll start with the shift to silicon, then look at the anatomy of an EVM. After that, we'll ask, are EVMs truly unhackable? We'll compare global election security models, dive into AI and perception risk, and finally talk about securing the future vote. All right, part one, the shift to silicon.
Let's start with the why. Why did we even ditch paper in the first place? Well, for centuries, paper ballots were the gold standard. But let's be real, they were incredibly slow to count, super prone to human error, and completely vulnerable to physical ballot stuffing. So the shift to digital was all about speed and efficiency. But here's the catch. Any voting system absolutely must maintain three pillars: secrecy, accuracy, and auditability. By moving to silicon, we basically traded the old risk of physical tampering for a brand new, highly complex landscape of invisible digital manipulation.
Moving on to part two, anatomy of an EVM.
To really understand the risks, we have to look inside the vault of Indian democracy. The Indian EVM isn't just one big machine. It's an architecture made up of three totally distinct standalone pieces. You have the ballot unit on the left, where the voter actually presses the button. In the middle, there's the VVPA, that's the paper audit trail printer, and on the right is the control unit, which the polling officer uses to record the final vote. By design, these components are kept completely offline. No internet, no Wi-Fi.
So here's the exact step-by-step of how a vote is cast. The polling officer activates the machine. You, the voter, press the button for your candidate. Instantly, the VVPAT prints a little paper slip showing the candidate's serial number, name, and symbol. Now this is absolutely crucial. A window lights up for exactly 7 seconds. You get a 7-second visual verification window to ensure the machine actually registered your intent correctly. Then, the slip drops into a sealed box. A beep goes off, and the vote is permanently locked into the control unit's memory.
Which brings us to part three, the million-dollar question. Are EVMs truly unhackable?
This is where we hit a massive, ongoing debate. On one side, you have state institutions like the Election Commission of India defending their system as robust and virtually invulnerable. Their argument, the machines are completely air-gapped. They use one-time programmable chips, meaning the software is literally burnt into the hardware and theoretically impossible to rewrite. But on the flip side, you have independent computer scientists pointing out the black box nature of these devices. They argue that no computer is immune if the supply chain gets compromised. We're talking about the very real risks of dishonest hardware being swapped in or insider threats during the manufacturing process itself.
Let's look closely at the back of this VVPAT unit. Independent experts have shown that, sure, you can't hack an EVM over the internet. But unauthorized physical access? That is an entirely different story. If an attacker manages to get temporary physical access to these specific connector and battery compartments, they could potentially attach a tiny hidden Bluetooth clip-on device. And if they do that, they could theoretically remote control the machine during the poll, altering the voting logic and substituting fraudulent results before the data ever reaches the control unit.
And look, this is not just a regional debate, it's a global cybersecurity crisis. Just listen to this striking testimony from Professor J. Alex Halderman before the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee. Speaking about American voting systems, he stated point blank, "We examined what was the most widely used touchscreen DRE in the country. We could reprogram the machine to invisibly cause any candidate to win." He even highlighted the potential to write vote-stealing software that spreads like a silent computer virus.
If you need proof that these vulnerabilities exist in the real world, just look at the infamous 2021 Coffee County breach in Georgia, USA. Unauthorized individuals, hired by political actors, literally just bypassed the physical security protocols at a local county office and illicitly copied proprietary voting software. It proved a terrifying reality. Physical security alone simply isn't enough, because when insider threats bypass the rules under ideological pressure, the digital integrity of the entire system just collapses.
Let's zoom out a bit for part 4, global election security models.
It's fascinating to see how different countries are tackling this exact same problem. And what this comparative analysis shows us is that nobody has a flawless system. Every single architectural choice comes with a specific cybersecurity trade-off. India uses air-gapped hardware, which minimizes remote hacking, but opens up supply chain risks. The USA has a decentralized system leaning heavily on paper, but their networked election servers are at risk of malware. Brazil uses a centralized, highly integrated biometric system that's incredibly fast, but they don't have a physical paper audit trail. And then you have Estonia, offering massive convenience through remote internet voting, but facing severe risks from client-side malware on a voter's personal laptop.
Now for part 5, and this is where it gets really wild: AI and perception risk.
We have to pivot our investigation here because the threat to democracy has evolved way beyond the microchips. The new battlefield is in the minds of the voters. In 2024, the World Economic Forum actually ranked misinformation as the top global risk. Brazil has taken an incredibly aggressive stance against this. Their electoral court issued an absolute prohibition on using AI deepfakes in electoral propaganda. Even wilder, they gave big tech platforms a strict 2-hour window to pull down illicit content once notified. They recognize that AI-generated misinformation can fundamentally disrupt an election before a single person even steps into a voting booth.
So here is the crucial, terrifying point. The perception of a hack is just as dangerous as an actual hack. Returning to those provocative whispers of a party like TVK hacking an election, even if that is mathematically or technically impossible, the rumor alone is a weapon. In India, the Election Commission literally had to set up a myth versus reality portal just to continuously debunk viral fake news, stage tampering videos, and rumors of missing EVMs. Even if the hardware is 100% secure, bad actors are weaponizing perception to delegitimize the outcome. If the public believes a machine is rigged, trust in the whole democratic institution just shatters.
So how do we fix this? Part 6, Securing the Future Vote.
As we look ahead, say to a 2035 scenario where elections are fully digital and heavily AI-assisted, how do we safeguard the vote? The answer actually lies in mathematics and good old-fashioned paper. Experts universally recommend something called risk-limiting audits, or RLAs. Think of an RLA as the ultimate safety net. It's a statistical, post-election manual tally of a random sample of those VVPAD paper slips. It reliably proves that the electronic outcome reported by the machine is actually correct. If the software glitches or if an insider swapped a chip, the human verifiable paper trail, when mathematically audited, will catch the lie.
Because here's the reality. Democratic resilience in the digital age doesn't rely on finding some perfect, unhackable machine. That technology simply doesn't exist. Instead, it relies on a system of systems. It requires overlapping, multidisciplinary layers of defense. You need the air-gapped hardware to keep the remote hackers out. You need the human verifiable paper trails to keep the hardware honest. You need those statistically sound RLAs to prove the count, and you need proactive regulations to fight off AI information warfare.
Which brings us right back to our core question. Can the silicon ballot box actually maintain our trust in a digital world? As technology accelerates, the architecture of our democracy has to evolve just as fast to outpace anyone trying to undermine it. So, what do you think? Is it time to fully trust the code, or should we go back to paper? Drop your opinions in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And if you want to keep exploring how technology is reshaping our future, make sure to hit subscribe to FutureShock for more deep dive explainers. Stay curious, everyone.